Hi guys, congratulations to start with on this fabulous movie, just a huge production. What was it about the story that made you want to be part of it or made you want to make it, really?
首先今年是中国人民抗日战争，然后世界反法西斯80年战争胜利的一个纪念日。然后对于中国人来讲，对于英国人来讲，都是一个比较特殊的年份。啊，你来吧。
First of all, this year marks the 80th anniversary of the anti-fascist war for the world, as well as the end of the anti-Japanese war for Chinese people. But I think for both Chinese and English people, it is really a special moment.
尤其是铭记历史，不能曲解历史，这点很重要。但是日本人，我们翻阅了大量的文献跟资料，发现他们很多的在曲解这个历史。我觉得其实曲解历史比掩盖历史更可怕。所以拍出这个电影呈现出来是希望更多人能够知道历史真实到底发生了什么事儿，他们也有权利知道。
And during our process of researching over the archival materials and documents, we realized that the Japanese people have been trying to twist the history, and we believe that remembering history is very essential for our beings. And sometimes we know that twisting history is even more horrible than the burying of the history. So we believe that it is our obligation to help the world know what happens during that time, know the historical truths, and people have the right to know about the historical truth.
这是起初的一些想法，然后才有的执行的这么一个可能性。尤其在执行的过程中，我记得有一次我最早带着所有的主创要登上东极岛，就是真实的发生地。但是在登上岛之前，我跟我们的主创先到了真正的沉船的那个地方，其实离岛可能大概几海里之远，但是你当时到那儿，你就能感受到所有当时83年前这些英军战俘们在海上飘着那种无助，看到岛离这儿很远，但是离这儿很近，但是你就是游不过去。然后你能感受到当时如果中国渔民集体出海营救，当时那些人的那种心情，所以更坚定要把这个故事告诉全世界，让他们知道。
So that was the very initial idea for us to produce this film. But while we were putting this idea into practice during the filming process, there was a scene where we had to abort the island, the actual island, and film there. And once we stepped on the island, we realized that prior to that, actually, we visited the site of the actual ship sink. So we know this actual spot where the ship was sunk was only a few miles away from the edge of the island. But despite this sort of short distance, we could really feel after we stepped on the island to feel the actual emotions, the actual helplessness those British soldiers felt 83 years ago. And once we stepped on the island, we became even more dedicated to making this film happen, because that's how we could imagine when those Chinese fishermen, when those Chinese people collectively set forth to help the British people, to help the British POWs, we could really see how those British people felt and their emotions and how to embody them. So this is why we really firmly believe that we should make this film.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question because how much research did you do when you knew you were going to be part of the movie? Your character, is he an amalgamation of different characters that would have been part of the event, or did he actually exist in the event? And how much research did you do into his life or what his life would have been like there and then?
那我想请问一下，您对这个自己的角色做了多少的研究？因为我知道这个角色，它一方面可能是取材于历史、取材于真实的事件的，但它同时并没有真正的存在于那段故事之中，所以没有存在在那段时间之中。所以我想了解您对自己的角色进行了多少的研究，多少了解？
阿碧其实是我觉得他是具有代表性的，就是那一段时间的渔民中，阿碧是一个缩影。在他身上呈现了善良到最后血腥的一个爆发，我觉得他是在整个故事当中极具代表性的一个人物吧。
I think Abby is the perfect perfect embodiment of the goodness of Chinese people. He was kind, he was tenacious, but eventually, he burst with this ferocity against the world in the battlefield. So I think he is really the essential character in the entire true story during the history.
You're a producer on the movie. Obviously,
Yes.
you're foremost an actor and known for many roles, and especially in Chinese cinema. But you wanted to be part of this as a producer. What was it about the story that made you want to be part of this?
那我们知道，梁静之前曾经也是一位非常著名的演员。那这一次呢，担任了制片的角色，所以我想知道这个故事中有什么样的方面让您产生了这样的一个身份的转变呢？
这个身份转变已经很多年了，这不是第一次了。
Actually, my role, the transformation of my role from the actress to the producer happened many years ago. So this is not the first time that I tried this transformation of identity.
Yeah, go ahead.
对，然后呢，因为这个故事，就像我刚才说的，有一个画面就让我很有触动，就是在同一片海面上，海域里，有的人在拿着枪杀人，有的人在划着船救人。同时呢，你先说这个吧，我怕你每次都记太多。
And for the story itself, there was one thing that really struck a chord within me. It was during the same stretch of the sea, some people were killing while others were rescuing. So it really had me thinking about the goodness and the evilness of human nature and really motivated my desire to represent this story.
而且我是想说，就是最终在我们铺设剧本和写剧本和了解历史的过程中，就发现我们的人其实每一个人的善良是底色，纯洁的，就是怎么说呢，淳朴的直觉。如果海面上有人出事儿，一定会去救。这就是我想为什么要把它拍出来，因为我觉得这是中国人的底色，我觉得这是人性最闪光的一面，也代表了中国人的善良，淳朴的善良。对，所以我想把它拍出来。
And while we were researching the history to build the script for this film, I learned that, or I really concluded that goodness is the very basic nature, the very innate nature of every single individual. And it became a very instinctive act for those fishermen to rescue those who are on the sea. And I think this really embodied the nature of Chinese people, because 83 years ago, after their village were ravaged by the war, by the invaders, after they had to endure the hardship during the war, they still decided to rescue the strangers on the sea. So I think even at the very difficult time, human nature can still shine through. And this is the perfect embodiment or epitome of the goodness of Chinese people.
Question about your character. Has he sort of he's someone who's angry at the world because he's found himself in this occupied island, but he's also someone who wants to help people, but he has to fight the nature of the two sides of his character. Talk us through that and how sort of you've worked how to get that sort of sentiment across.
那我想了解一下您的这个阿碧这个角色。我们知道他一开始对战争是非常厌恶、非常气愤的，因为他觉得战争导致他们岛被日本人占据。然后后来他也需要克服内心的一些挣扎，让他决定去救人。所以我想要去了解您当时在表演的时候有什么样投入了什么样的心血，让他的这个人物的情绪能够得到抒发。
我觉得通过这部电影，我觉得因为它是一个真实的事件，所以它也是非常好的一个佐证。在那样的情况下，就是会选择去救他人的性命。就是说到，就是人道主义精神其实是不分国界的，然后是不分民族的吧。
Through this film, I also learned that the human nature has this transcendentary nature. It can really go beyond any geographical boundary or any national boundary. While I was performing this role, I learned that there was this struggle between self-protection and his urge to save others' lives. Eventually, I asked myself, how far would he go? And I realized that even though this film is based on a historical event, it is also a testament to the individual's goodness for him to very voluntarily and spontaneously save others. So just like director said before, humanism can go beyond any geographical boundary and can go beyond any ethnicity and race.
A question for the three of you really here is, this is getting a pretty wide release in the UK, which isn't very usual for a huge Chinese title like this. Usually it does find itself straight into streaming or different avenues, but this is going into several cinemas in all the territories in the UK. How do you feel about that, and what do you think? What message do you want to send to British audiences?
那下一个问题是为3个人提问的。这一次呢，我们中国电影能够在英国进行非常全面的发行，它不仅仅是在像以往一样，以往中国电影在这边可能只会进行线上流媒体的播放，但这一次我们非常罕见的能够将它铺设在很多的院线。所以我想问3位，您这一次的感受是怎样的？希望通过这样的发行，向英国观众传达什么样的信息呢
？83年前，中国渔民手无寸铁，然后在海上救了384名英军战俘，他们的英勇跟血性跟善良，到今天我们又带着这个故事回来，希望跟英国的观众乃至全世界的观众说一句很简单很直接的话，就是要正视历史，千万不要掩盖历史。
83 years ago, the Chinese fishermen were armed with nothing but their bravery, their ferocity, and their kindness. They rescued 384 POWs from the British citizens, and 83 years later, we are bringing this story back to the UK. We hope that through this experience and through this distribution, we can tell the British people as well as the people around the world that everyone should learn about history properly, and we should not bury the history. If we bury the history, then we know that misfortune will definitely happen again. So only by learning from history, we can stop the misfortune from happening again.
我们在片尾有一个镜头是让很多观众动容非常感动的一个画面，那就是所有的被救上来的英军跟这个所有的渔民敬礼，然后渔民非常淳朴的回了一个中国式的礼。我觉得这个画面就能够代表，其实生而为人，对，面对生死的时候都会互相救一把。那我觉得我还想对这些曾经救过人的中国人，因为是我的前辈先辈，我们中国人的先辈，我要用这个电影告诉他们，我们没有忘记他们。中国人的谦逊和这种淳朴，对仁义仗义，但是我们作为后辈，我们作为艺术创作者，我们有义务把这个故事搬上荧幕，搬上荧幕之后走向世界。
And there's one scene at the very end of the film that really touched all the audience hearts. It was when the British soldiers made a salute to the fishermen in China on the island. Those fishermen only returned their salute with a wide smile over their face, and they made a Chinese gesture as their gratitude and acknowledgement. So I think this scene really tells us that as an individual, every person has this very instinctive nature to save the other, to support mutual help and mutual aid at a very critical moment of their life. And for those Chinese people, for those Chinese fishermen who have helped people before during the war, they are our predecessors, and we want to tell them that we did not forget your heroism. We did not forget what you did. It was the humbleness, the very simple nature of Chinese people that motivated us to make this film. And even though they did not tell their own stories, they did not flaunt their own stories, But we, as art practitioners, we want to remember this part of historical truth and want to show it through the silver screen in China and beyond, and to make it known in the world. And eventually, we believe that we hope that this very simple wish for all the people to join hands around the world to share peace is celebrated among the heart of every individual.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations again on the movie, and good luck with it in cinemas in the UK. Look forward. It was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys!
Hey, you guys!